X on X off. There we go. I never really know if the Facebook's working or not. There we go. Says we're live. Okay. Freezes on me, by the way, just so you guys know. I'm not just making crazy hand gestures. I'm trying to see if I can see myself on here. Couple of quick announcements just before we get started. We have an amazing trial of the Mastermind right now. Sometimes I do a lot of one-off workshops, but I do them just when I feel like it. There's been a lot going on personally behind the scenes here. We're doing some land, growing some plants, and making a bunch of other things happen. My agency's been growing, so for that reason I haven't done any workshops, haven't felt like doing them, but it had a full enough plate. But if you've been interested in getting on the Mastermind, this is a way to risk-free try it. I have exactly 4 spots left. When they're gone, they're gone. That's it. You will go on a waiting list, and you may be waiting more than a year to get on that. So if you've been thinking about that and you want to just know a little bit more, reach out to me and send me a message, and I will send you a video with some details. There's no sales call or anything like that. We run our agency sales or phone call list, if you will, sales call lists. And the Mastermind's the same way. So I'll just send you a video with some details. You can check it out. If it makes sense for you, you can let me know. If it's not, that's cool too. I may ask you a question or two just to help you determine if it's a fit or not, but there's no hard pressure or anything. Secondly, this is something that I will be talking a little bit more about this week, but if you're interested in that as well, we've been working actually on a crypto hedge fund, and Ilka actually just got into it less than a week ago, and she's already up a little bit right now. A friend of ours has been doing it for a long, long time, and they're probably 10xing their money every 6 months. And I would not encourage you to just put all your life savings down, but if you guys are interested in finding out more about that, either getting into the crypto game or just taking some of the stuff you're doing and having it trading by some real geniuses and having it be hands off, be happy to share some more details with you about that. Again, there's no sales call or anything like that. So let's get into the Q&A. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. So we got some really awesome questions here. Let's get started. I believe that's short for Diane. Does anyone have a launch strategy? Launches, by the way, if you're going to do a launch, you want to get your hands on Product Launch Formula by Jeff. Why can't I remember his last name? Jeff something. I can see his face in my mind. He's the guy, the Product Launch Formula, for years and years and years. All the internet marketing gurus follow him, but it also works for real life businesses too. And essentially is you're coordinating a bunch of affiliates and groups to promote it at the same time, and you're having a series of build-up content so that the moment you launch and have all your bonuses, you'll sell out. So if you're interested in a launch, let me just Google this real quick. I know I shouldn't make you guys wait for me. What is the gentleman's name? Product Launch Formula. His name is Jeff Walker. That's the guy. So if you're doing a launch, Jeff Walker's the guy you want to check out. It'll save you a whole bunch of learning curve and all that. So that's the launch strategy. Follow it. It's worked for so many of the friends I know. I've had actually a couple of friends that many years ago used to do a launch business. I will tell you the downside of a launch business, nobody tells you this, is you may do millions of dollars in sales and give it all away to your affiliates and your promo, but you'll have a list of buyers so that when you make the second sale, you won't need all those affiliates and all those things to do. But just know that launches are really intense and stressful. And you may make nothing, but you'll come out with a huge buyers list. Scion, when managing a client's account with the focus on lead gen, do you provide landing pages or run traffic to the relevant web pages? So Scion, this is something I talked about with a dear friend of ours from the Mastermind, Oral, and he was talking about. I think it's criminal, as he put it, if you just turn on the ads and send them to people's websites knowing how bad they are and how very rarely they convert. So yes, I think it's your job to come up with landing pages that convert. And I'll tell you, even if you don't see it as your job, you'll make more money if you come to the table with landing pages that convert. So yes, just do that, because people don't want leads that don't convert. That's just wasting their money. They want, ultimately phone calls, sales, things like that. So the more you can actually help them convert to sales, the better you're going to do as a whole. VSAR, How do you approach an oversaturated market in B2B doing cold email outreach case? Let's suppose agency owners, many coaches, cold email them daily, just knowing they just got another email from another coach turns them off. I just took a hypothetical example, not sure if this market is saturated. So the problem is that the coach could have a great offer, but he doesn't get a chance to be heard since agency owners are already tired of getting emails from coaches. Now, how would a coach approach to this saturated market doing cold email outreach? Thanks for your responses. There's a lot of nuances to this, VSAR. So a lot of the stuff that I teach in the group, I actually learned from a guy named Ari Gelper who taught cold calling in sales many, many years ago. And Ari, everything he says about cold calling applies to cold email. So one of the things he said is when people call in a cold call, they typically, when they have something to sell, there's a template they use that exposes the fact that they have some generic shit for sale. And it sounds like this. They say, hello, my name is Frankie and I'm calling from XYZ company, and the reason I'm calling today is because. Now, before I've said anything, you already know I'm a salesperson. You already know I'm going to generic pitch you. You already know that's coming. And so people are automatically turned off by that. And he mentioned that customers have a very different approach. Customers don't announce themselves. Customers don't say, hello, my name's Frankie, I'm one of your customers, and the reason I'm calling today is because I had a question about your service. Customers just go, what time are you guys open? Can I get it in black? Like, they ask very straightforward questions. They don't announce themselves. They don't tell you who they are. And so he recommended following this approach of asking questions that identify needs. So his formula was really, really simple. Is he would message and say, hey, I was wondering if you could help me. Could you tell me who's the person in charge of making decisions about the copy machine? Right? Like, if he's selling a copy machine, that's the question you want to know. And then when he gets to the person on the phone, instead of saying, hey, my name's Ari Gelper and I'm from company XYZ and the reason I'm calling, he would ask a question that would determine whether they even have a need. Like, for example, like, are you guys, can I ask you a question about your copying machine? Are you replacing the toner less than every 3 months, or does it ever jam up on you? And if they say yes, then he says, well, we have a solution for that. Would you be interested in hearing about it? And so he always establishes the need, and I think that's a really powerful way for cold outreach, because not enough people give a shit about, they just launch into their pitch without being asked. And so you'll notice our stuff is about asking questions that mirror the customer, but ultimately open the door. And this is a real skill, is understanding opening buying conversations. So in my case, it's like, hey, do you guys handle motorcycle cases? In somebody else's case, it might be like, do you guys have any openings in your mastermind? Right, so you want to ask questions that identify the need, and then Dean Jackson did this really, really well, where he for years ran restaurant marketing, and their opening offer was a birthday campaign. And instead of saying, "Hey, do you want a birthday campaign?" Dean would ask the question, "Can you guys handle a big birthday party?" And then when they would say yes, he would say, "Well, I got a campaign that'll bring you birthday parties. Would you be interested in hearing more about it, or can I tell you a little more about it?" So that's how you want to approach all of that. And by the way, the fact that it's saturated is a good thing. If the market wasn't saturated, that means there's no money in it. So you definitely want to deal in saturated markets. Basil, cold email versus paid ads. What is your preferred method to get appointments? Listen, Basil, you want to use everything in your power to get appointments. Don't be like A works and B doesn't. All of them work. Having said that, I always personally start with organic. I want to test my message, and then when I turn on paid ads, I know it's going to work because I've already validated my offer in real life through outreach. So this is my personal philosophy. I do outreach just to validate my offer, because you'll get an honest, real opinion from cold-ass, skeptical strangers, and then after that, I stop doing outreach. It's my least favorite way to get people, because it's very push. I like pull methods, but it's the fastest way to go test an offer real quick with some skeptical strangers. So that's my approach. But once you get it working, there's no reason you can't do both. Sylvester, hi guys, do you have an insider experience with BNI Network thing? They're pretty active in my area, and some of my clients are inviting me to join, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. I'll be grateful for your insight. The more honest, the better. Sylvester, so for a local businesses, actually, BNI is really, really good. Only if you're brick and mortar, in person, and your people come from the area. So really, really good friend of mine, Stephen Yen, he went for years, swore by it. It helped grow his chiropractic thing. He found referral partners in there, so it was really, really useful to him. If you're not like a brick and mortar, it's not going to be useful for you. It's just not. But having said that, if your clients are all local, it's a really great networking opportunity because like some real players go there. And in your case, you said if some of your clients are there already, what is that telling you, right? So chances are, if a few of your clients are there, then you're probably going to find more there. So I would say yes, in your case, check it out. It's probably worth it. Gilbert, has anyone you here used direct mail to get clients? Yes, Gilbert, it's my favorite way. There are pros and cons of direct mail. I'll tell you firstly, some of the pros is, well, firstly, you never get your freaking mail account banned. Like the post office has yet to tell me, oh, you use the word you too much, so your letter account is banned. Like I just send letters. It's simple, it's straightforward. I got a bunny right here eating plants. Secondly, direct mail is the least crowded channel in the world. If you're trying to reach somebody, very rarely do people take the time to send a letter, so it always stands out. Personalized letters, like you would be fucking amazed that like if my thing was an email, my open rates would be like 80% and my response rates would be like 20%. It's actually kind of mind-blowing how many people are willing to check it out with direct mail. So those are the pros. Cons being takes longer. It's a little more cumbersome to set up. We use click-to-mail, by the way, and the responses typically take a little bit longer. Like if somebody's scrolling through a Facebook ad, they click it, it's almost immediate. If somebody gets a direct mail letter, they might not respond to it for weeks. I have people respond to my direct mail letters like a month later. It actually happens because it's been sitting in their mailbox and they didn't notice it. Oral, have you ever been ghosted by a vitally important freelancer amidst a project that has a tight deadline? I haven't, but it's one of my nightmares. How to prevent, what to do if it happens. Wait, that's not even true. I had such a story once years ago, and the guy, a designer, fled to Japan where I couldn't knock on his door. Yeah, it sucks when freelancers ghost you and disappear in general. My question to you is like, why such a tight deadline? Because that's actually the bigger issue. And the other thing is, it depends on how you've structured your agency, but if you're setting it up where you have processes and procedures, freelancers can be relatively interchangeable. So it's not really that big of a nightmare if you have it set up that way. The worst case actually is when coders leave in a project, because very rarely can one coder take over another person's project and like begin it. But if they're like running ad campaigns and things like that, usually they're pretty, I don't know, you can switch them up. I've only ever found like software coders are the ones you got to like completely start over, and that's a pain in the ass when it happens. But for the most part, I would say, I don't know, I've been doing that 14 years. I would put that out as like 3 out of 10 like real world issue. I know, like, obviously it's a concern of yours, and I'm not like trying to invalidate your concern. I'm just saying it hasn't happened to me a ton, so I wouldn't sweat it too much personally. Dan, which website platform do you use for your agency to showcase your services? What do you recommend? I want to showcase my service, accept payment, book appointments, and connect an autoresponder. Dan, I'm probably a bad person to ask because our agency website, like, I swear to God, is the simplest website in the world. Like, I used to build like very fancy WordPress websites, and they were SEO optimized, and they had a homepage, and they had a bunch of services, and they had a big long about us, and they had a contact, and they had a booking, and they had like testimonials, and they had a blog and all that kind of shit, and it was a lot of work. And I found out now, like, by the way, our website is one headline, one little sub-headline, a video, and a button that says, all right, I'm ready to work with you. So it's like literally 2 sentences of video, and the video is 5 minutes and work with it. And I was going to go on a podcast the other day, and the guy said to me, well, this is not a real agency website. So I wasn't even allowed on because he thought, oh, that's not real. Even though I've been doing this 14 years and probably have a better agency than the guy running it. But, that's beside the point. So here's the deal, okay? If people are actively going to your website, that's going to matter. But I actually have a friend, her name's Kat, and many of you guys would know her because she sold a lot of Facebook ads courses. And Kat got her agency to $300,000 a month before she built her website. Let me say that again. She got her agency to $300,000 a month before she built her website. That's how important a website is. Everybody thinks a website is like 10 out of 10 importance. And in the beginning, it's like 2 out of 10 importance because nobody even knows your website exists. Nobody's going to go there. Nobody's going to look you up. which is much more important, is to proactively come up with an offer and proactively put that offer in front of your buyers. And then your website doesn't matter. It matters what you're proactively putting in front of people. Having said that, if they raise their hand and say I'm interested, then like I like just sending them a simple video that explains it. You don't need a website. You need something that converts, and you can do all of that the way I just described with a simple landing page. I use lead pages for those. Robert, how much cold calling / selling goes into running an agency? Robert, I mean it's up to you. It's your agency. I can't say this enough. Like, you guys, it's your agency. You get to run it the way you want. It's your life. You don't have to run somebody else's agent. If you like cold calling and you're good at it and it works for you, do it. But you can also build like a multi-million-dollar agency that never cold calls anyone. I have friends who have agencies as high as $500,000 per month that have never cold called anyone ever and have never hard sold anyone. So it's up to you. Like, use the strengths that you have and do the things that you want. Like, there's way too much perception of have to. What I would say as a general rule is you want to use the rule of 100 and make 100 offers to people, or run $100 in paid ads, or make 100 outreach messages as a rule daily if you want to hit like big numbers. But having said that, how you do that is really up to you. Christopher, has anybody else seen their Facebook ad leads slowing down for their clients, trying to figure out if this is situational, time of the year, demise of Facebook ads as a marketing vehicle? We got a nice little crying toddler in the background. My Zelda bee's getting sprayed by water. All of the above. But first, by the way, before we get into the pity party, actually, let's get into the pity party. So, is it situational time of year? Yes. Facebook ads slow down Q4, before Christmas, Black Friday, all that stuff. Unless you're in a niche that naturally lends itself to like ramping up at Christmas, always your ads are going to slow down. Normal. Happens. Having said that, and then the other thing is this: the demise of Facebook as a marketing vehicle. Well, every ad platform, by the way, starts out being really, really cheap, and then it's an auction, and over time, prices go up and up and up and up and up. It gets harder. But here's the thing nobody talks about, okay? Offers on social media, no matter who you are, will eventually go to zero. Every offer. It's why I'm so big on the offer making skill. Because if you understand the skill, you can create new offers, and you can revive old offers, and you can find new ways to make your shit exciting and new again. But here's the deal. Before you start blaming the platform and things out of your control, look at what you can do and start getting back to the basics. How can you add more value to the people you're trying to connect with? If you do that, almost always ads work. People get way too caught up in ads and like, should I run this targeting or that targeting, or should I raise my budget this much per day, and should I use this placement or that? And almost always, if you think about those things, you'll miss the point, which is focus on the people and the aspect you control. Make your offers more valuable, and what you'll find is almost always they'll work. Because I've had situations, by the way, where even in Q4, and yes, you'll notice that in Q4 your ads will dip in results. But if they're still good enough and they're still performing, keep running them. So this is going to happen to your ads. Everybody who runs ads on Facebook, they'll work for a while and then go boop and fall off a cliff. And you're going to have to reinvent it. Like I said, that's why I'm so big on that offer making skill, because it'll help you revive that. Josh, what did you learn from your family? From my family, my direct family, I would say from a business perspective, I learned a lot more about what not to do. I grew up, my mom's an alcoholic and struggled with money her whole life. And my dad, not only is an alcoholic, he's dead, by the way, and abused every drug on face of the earth. Both of them, nice people, but I learned a lot more about what not to do. And, sometimes people that are negative examples teach you a lot of things too. So, I wish I had a better, my daddy always told me kind of wisdom, but that never happened in my case. Funny little story, by the way. One of the smartest lawyers I know, he says whenever he has a point to make on stage, he said, my daddy always told me, and he's like, the truth is my dad never said any of those things, but it always sounds like wiser and more profound if it's like wisdom passed down through the ages. So, but no, I got none of that. Kevin. So this is honestly a really dumb question, I feel like. Probably not, Kevin. I'm starting to really focus in on Facebook advertising. I've had a lot of success with a few clients, so pushing that as my default service. However, I've gotten burned a few times and now want to use my client's debit card or credit card for direct billing. How do I set it up where I can use a different card info on different ads since I have everyone under one ad account. Basically, in a nutshell, the idiot part of this question is, what is the right way to set up billing for social media clients? Kevin, firstly, good for you. You're getting results with people on Facebook ads. That's not an easy thing in and of itself, especially if you're new to it. What I would tell you, by the way, is set up a business manager and set up your ad accounts within them, and then have your clients grant you access. But you should never be floating money for them to run their ads. Otherwise, you become the bank. Being the bank is a very difficult business to be in, especially if you have clients who are like, not flushed with cash. So that's the correct way. Set up a business manager, set them in, grant them access, but don't use your credit card at all to do any of those things. It'll take you a little bit longer to set up in the first place, and Leadsy.io can help simplify that process of them granting you access. But you want to have one business manager, all your clients underneath it. I just warn you, though, by the way, this is a real thing, is Facebook's a real pain in the ass right now. They're banning a lot of accounts. If you get one banned, you may lose it all. So I would create a couple of business managers if you can while you're on good terms with them. Ralph, when you guys first started out and couldn't provide case studies, how did you give the customer confidence they would receive great SEO leads in a website? So Ralph, it's kind of a funny thing. When you're first starting, it feels like really, really hard, because you think like, I don't have any proof. Why would anyone believe me? I don't have all these case studies and things. And then eventually you get those things and you start using them religiously, and then you get a bunch of clients and it works, and you're convinced that the reason is the case study. And then what ends up happening later is you become so competent at it and so confident in your skill set that you no longer feel like I even need to show the case studies. For example, you just say things that are indicative of somebody who's been in the trenches and done it. Like, for example, if I say to a lawyer, like, what's your average case cost and how long does it typically take you to settle? And are you financing that? And do you guys handle like these bigger cases and things like that? Those are only questions somebody who's in the trenches would really kind of ask them. And so it's automatically assumed I've worked with lawyers. It's automatically assumed I have case studies and all of those things. So I don't even feel the need to prove it. So there's this cycle that starts out in the beginning. You lack confidence and think, I don't have any case studies. Then you get a few and you use them religiously, and then you get clients. And then there's a period after where now you got a million case studies and you don't use them at all, and you just have this confidence you radiate, and then people don't even ask you for the case studies. So believe it or not, if you can just be confident in what you're doing and know that you can actually help somebody, and the best way to do that, by the way, is to have a clear, specific plan, because what clients are mostly looking for is not, did you help somebody else? They're looking for, can you help me? And the best way you can show them that I can help you is go, this is how I'm going to help you. 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do these things, right? So the more you can be specific, if you can be like, hey, look, I notice you got 10 keywords with not a lot of competition, but there's a good amount of search volume. That's where I'm going to go after for you first. Hey, I notice your homepage has these issues. I'm going to fix those for you right now. The more you can show them a clear plan, that's the biggest thing missing from most marketers' stuff, is they don't have a plan. And the thing about it is, a lot of people are scared to give their plan. They hide behind a lot of wording that's proven process and 7-step methodology and things like that. That works really well on $10 info products, especially if you're selling it to beginners, because those people don't have very much money typically, and so if they can do it themselves and save themselves some money, then they're going to do it. So you kind of want to be purposely ambiguous about your system, because they're buying the system. But when you're dealing with a busy, successful business owner, they don't have time to copy your system, but they need to believe you. And so the best thing you can do is be really transparent about your plan of how you're going to do that. If you do that, if you can show them how you're going to get them leads, if you can show them how you're going to rank their website, if you can show them how you're going to do this, it's like a real plan, then they'll buy into your stuff without any case study. Most people, by the way, when I ask them the question, I go, okay, if the client gave you money right now, what would you do? Most people who are struggling cannot answer that question, and that's the biggest reason they're struggling. It's because they don't know what they would do after somebody said yes. So the more you can show, here's the 3 things we're going to fix, and here's the low-hanging fruit, and I notice your Google My Business isn't optimized. We're going to fix that. Here's how we're going to fix it. I checked your citations. They're all goofed up. Here's the ways we're going to fix your citations. It'll take me about 6 months, but I can make this happen. Like, the more you can show them, like, I know what I'm going to do and I have confidence about it, they just won't ask for the case studies. So that's a short version. And if you have case studies, use them. They certainly benefit you. I'm a big fan of case studies. But having said that, you actually don't need case studies, because what they're looking for is that you got a solid plan to help them. So that's how you get around that when you don't have them in the beginning. And then the other piece I would say is shrink the size of your offer. If what you're offering them is a 12-month commitment of SEO, you're going to have a hard time. But if it's like, hey, let me get your Google My Business claimed and move you up in the next 60 days, and if you like it, we can continue on with our contract. That's an easier yes. Let's try 2 months. I won't be able to get you number one in 2 months, but I can show you movement, and I can show you that I know what I'm doing. Would you be interested in that? That'll sell your stuff a whole lot easier. So, Ralph said, I believe that's the last question. Like I mentioned earlier in the start of this, for those of you guys who missed it, we have a trial of the Mastermind, exactly 4 spots left. When they're full, there will probably be a long waiting list, at least of a year. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll just send you a video. You don't have to like have this big long sales call with me or anything like that. And then secondly, like I mentioned, we've been working on something that's really, really cool behind the scenes, like a crypto hedge fund, basically. This is something that, my lady is personally invested in. I'm invested in. A good friend of mine, Jesse, has been doing it for much longer. And we're seeing some pretty incredible results with that. So if you guys are interested in that, I would never mortgage your whole future and put all of the cash you had, your life savings. But if you got a little bit of money on the side and you want to see it multiply, try it out, and usually we can pull out the profits within 90 days or less. Meaning, if say you put up $100 or $1,000 or 10,000, whatever is a comfortable amount to you, that after 90 days you would get your original 1,000 back. Meaning everything you make is gravy. So if you're interested in that, send me a private message about that. I'm going to be talking more about that in a little days. I may create a little spin-off group for those of us who are interested in that kind of crypto stuff. And because I think one of the biggest, best things you can do is if you sell a website for $1,000 and then you can multiply that $1,000 into 10,000, your life gets a whole lot easier financially, because all your agency stuff starts multiplying, and then you don't need any client. It's just we've seen some pretty incredible stuff for that. So if you're interested in that, just shoot me a message and I'll send you some details. That's all I got for you guys in this video. May the force be with you, and thank you guys for the awesome questions. Much love to you guys. You guys are the coolest motherfuckers on the planet. I maintain that. There's a reason why I do this stuff, because I love you guys and you're fucking awesome. And you guys make stuff happen. You work online. You believe in freedom. You help people. And I can't say enough cool things about you guys. So this is my internet fist bump. Peace out, guys.